Now, you can essentially get portions of a string. So if Python is fun as a string, you can cut py if you want. You can cut any portion of a string, and that's done using something called slicing. Slicing uses the index, so when you're doing a slice, you have a start index and an end index. You will also be able to do a blank for either the start or the end. We're going to see what that does, but for now, let's look at this example. We have a string, and the string is championships. If you go square brackets 0 to 5, those are the first 5 characters in the string. Remember, the indexes of those 5 don't reach 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, first 5 characters spell out champ. 5 to 9 is 5, 6, 7, 8, which spell out ions. And the last one uses the negative index, and just like the one here, the negative index still doesn't include the very last character. So we're not going to include the very last one. So we're going to have PIHS. So that's going to be ship. So let's look at the other variety of slicing, which is what you can do when you don't use one side of the index. Basically, when you don't use it, that if what's missing is the end index, then it goes to the end of the string. So it goes from index 3, which is the 4th character, so 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's B, till the end. That'll be just bar. And this will be up to the 4th, but not including the 4th, which means the first 3. That says foo. So next up, we're going to look at the really common, popular length function. Now, every single iterable in Python has the length function, so strings, lists, dictionaries, sets, anything else is going to have a len function. And length just tells you how many characters are in a string or how many items are in a list or dictionary. So there is a string, and you go, does a string say this question? You go len question 44. There is also a fact that, like, if you did a string which has got nothing in it, just empty quotation marks, the length would be 0. So that wraps up for the theory for this section, and we're going to have a practical look at how we can use indexing and slicing next. Hello. So in this program, we're going to look at string indexing and slicing. So as a reference, let's just have a look at our RGB converter from before. So in here, we would enter 3 hex numbers and convert them to an RGB value. And we converted, DC 14, actually we have to run it from there. We created DC 14 and 3C into 220, 20, and 60. So now we're going to use string properties. We're going to use index and slicing to basically automate this process. So first we're going to create a string variable for color, and we're going to use the input function. So we can say color equals to input, and we actually do want this to be a string, and we can say please enter hex color value. So what we can do next is define the slice for red, define the slice for green, define the slice for blue. And what I mean by this is we can basically create 3 variables. Red equals the color, square brackets. Now, red is going to be the first 2 characters, and this is very important because it's not 0 and 1. This will not include index 1. 0 to 2 will include 0 and 1, which is going to be basically, okay, we're going to try enter some hex values, but we'll just print to demonstrate. So I'm going to run this, and so we're going to need to enter a value here. For this particular instance, I think it'd be a lot easier to understand if we actually had a column there. So this is a table of hex colors, and the reason why it's good is because it also has RGB values, so we can basically use this as a test. So let's just test this yellow one, which is 4 F's followed by 0, 0. So if that's what we enter, F, 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 0, 0, we should get FF in the printed version. So we do. So that looks pretty good. Perhaps we'll test another one. 0099FF, which is this light blue. Run new 0099FF. So we should get 00. Done. So clearly this works. Now we can do the same for G and B. That did not copy successfully. Let's try again. Control C. So green should be the next two, and blue should be the last two characters. So that's going to be 2 to 4. This is going to be 4 to 6. Remember, 6 is not included, 4 is not included, 2 is not included in here. They're kind of the upper limit that's not reached. So we can print RGB here in hex and see that they're printed separately. Now the commas here in the print statement are going to create space. So basically we can test this program again. Let's pick something with different values for each three. They're pretty rare, but here we go. This sort of bright blue is 6699FF. 6699FF. Beautiful. So there we have string slicing, taking our input, breaking it into 3 separate components. Next, we can basically do what we did in our first program and create conversion to an integer. So remember, hex is base 16, so we can convert R to an integer value, and we can say R, 16, that's basically conversion from hex to an integer. So 16 basically says base 16, and that means hex. We can copy this and do the same for the G and the B. So when we print RGB again, we should convert this input first into 3 separate strings with the hex numbers and then into a red, green, blue value. And since, remember that we have this, we should be able to test that not only are we converting it correctly into the separate sort of string sequences for the 3 hex values, that the conversion to RGB is correct. So I'm going to stop and run it. And again, I want to pick a hex value with different values for red, green, and blue. So this sort of pinkish color will do. FF6699. FF66. So there it is, and time to check our answer. FF66, that was 255, 102, and 153. So there you have it. We indexed and sliced strings and went back and revised some of those type conversions from the previous tutorial to create a translator for hex colors into RGB values. All right, see you in the next one.